What are you doing over there?
We're just.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the SlummerTV Podcast. This is the official Neon Divide podcast. I am your host, Skiz. I am joined today by other cast members. We've got Bildervin, who plays Lux.
Hello.
We have Capalock, who plays Fenris.
Hello.
We've got OSL Cosplays, who plays Lilith.
Hello.
And we've got Kimmy, who plays Esperine.
Hello.
So, if it's not obvious, all of us are, we're down in the Undercity because all of you are Undercity characters. At least, during this last season. I know Builder kind of swapped a little bit at one point.
I jumped around a lot.
Yeah.
I stole him.
Yeah.
I was stolen.
Yeah, because initially you started off in the row, but
Yeah.
I mean, we always love getting new people down here. So, just let's do a quick before we really get into the meat and potatoes of things. Let's do a quick tell us about who Lux is, and then we'll go around the table and make sure that everyone knows who everyone is, because that's kind of the issue with as great as it is that we've got so many people on this project. It is impossible to know everyone, and there's got to be some people who have never seen you.
Yeah, so I play Dr. Lux Kane. He is a doctor and pharmacist at the Undercity Clinic. I started off mid-season as a mid-season wave character and in the row, and then about 5-6 sessions in, I came down here to the Undercity because they needed medics really badly because they had one.
Yeah, that was kind of a thing.
Yeah, and at the very end of the season, I also joined the Magi, which is a dog.
Did not kidnap. Promise, did not kidnap.
So speaking of the Magi,
fine. You accidentally adopted him, like you always do.
It's the curse.
Yeah. But so, tell us a little bit about Fenris.
Oh, Fenris, that's a story. So I play Fenris Agnar, previous Hound of the Underground, technically. As of season 3, my character has retired. He's still on planet. He's not dead, but he won't be showing up for season 4, from what I know. Things might change, who knows? But what my boy is pretty much he's started mid-season 2, actually on the same time you started, Skiz.
Yep.
And I am an anti-corp character. I dealt with the corporations, don't like how the corporations run things, and do whatever I can to undermine them. One of the things I did this season was the creation of the Magi group, which is an anti-corp group. Builder's part of it. Skiz's character is technically part of it as well. And we pretty much were just at that point doing what we can, doing any anti-corp activities we can, whether through runs or anything else we were doing in the maps. Going forth in the season 4, I know that even though I will not be returning, I know the group will continue on under new leadership. So I have high hopes to see what they do with it.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely dig into that quite a bit because we've got a couple Magi people here. So, but moving along the table, OSL, tell us a little bit about Lilith.
So Lilith is the small little tailor of the Undercity. She's had a lot of adventures, honestly, throughout the things, but had involvements throughout things like Trident. She's single-handedly costumed the entire goddamn network.
Yep.
And the Magi itself. She has some clandestine. She's maybe involved, sort of a clandestine group. Maybe not. Who knows? And she just is a small little being that wants to make clothes and kind of just live her life.
Heck yeah! And last but certainly not least, Kimmy, could what tell us a little bit about Esperine?
Aside from being short.
Well, so
Spring, she showed up somewhere around the tail end of season 2. Was became the assistant of the Coven, which later ended up making her for season 3 the leader of the Coven, and through some very interesting routes, she ended up becoming involved with the Duskstarters, and had quite a bit of fun, so to speak, learning about, everything. She's a nervous little wreck, and she doesn't know how she got here, but she's somehow alive.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's kind of. I feel like we have a lot of people that just end up in positions and they're just like, how did I end up here? Why is everyone coming to me for all of these problems?
Season
That was one.
3.
Season 3.
Yeah.
Season 3 of these.
I literally had a line at my door every morning during the beginning of the session. It
Yeah.
was like I'd hear Esperine and I immediately be like, I just want to hide. Just let me get.
Hey, Esper, someone's looking for you.
Oh
when
no,
they-
not again.
You and me both had that line, and I gave them my personal phone number. That was the problem. I shouldn't have done that.
That was definitely a bad idea.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I mean, the Undercity in general had a lot of problems going on. Like there were a lot of things going on. We started the season with Masaru like kind of stepping down and like, or not stepping down, but like really pushing us down into the ground and like making sure that we were pretty subservient and everything. Obviously, partially due to Magi intervention that kind of backed off, and also continued. With all the violence going on, they didn't really want to be putting more resources into the Undercity. We had the interdimensional rift stuff that was going on that I know that the Coven was a little bit more active with. We had the cryptids going around, partially connected with that. We had so much stuff. Just in general, what was anyone's favorite thing dealing with like living in the Undercity? If anyone wants to, no particular order from this point on.
Favorite thing about living
Yeah.
in the Undercity.
There's several times in character, I'm just like, why am I down here? Why do I live here? What's wrong with
I
me?
mean, there's a lot of nice dark holes to hide in. That was one of my favorite parts.
I mean, honestly, it was just really fun just getting to know, just living down and getting to know people, even though, like, at a few times in character, I had a essential crisis because she didn't know what to do, and, some things were going crazy, but, like, it was just fun interacting with everyone, honestly.
we would sometimes be at each other's throat, but it was almost like we had like a whole tight knit community in the end, because as soon as something showed up, the entire Undercity would like knew for some reason,
Yeah.
because everyone knew someone else, and it was just immediately word would spread, and everyone was on edge always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was at one time where you were going to kill me pretty early on in the season.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I didn't know it was you.
And then
I
you
did
found
try
out
to
it was me
help.
later.
I did try to help
Yeah.
defuse that.
If I didn't whiff on that grab.
Yeah. Dude, taking my tail. I can't believe you.
He lost his leg. You want to lose his tail? God.
That's the worst part. Taking my tail. I can't.
Oh, but
Can't
you
imagine
a little bobtailed, just a little tiny tail wiggle.
And so, Builder, so for you coming down from the row, like how different of an experience was that? Like, because that's a very different, like there's a lot less magic, a lot less, I mean, there's still crazy things happening up in the road. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, when I was in the row, the main issue was terrorism and gangs, just
Yeah.
lots of just gunfights all of the time. So honestly, it was a bit more because I came down right after all of the Masaru stuff ended, so it was a bit more
Mhm.
calm. Uh But yeah, my first taste of the Undercity in the RP was definitely very chaotic because the first session I came into the RP, I came down here to come talk to the other medics, and when I came down here, it was in the middle of when there was the whole Shometsu face-off in the incinerator.
Yep.
If
Oh
you guys
yeah.
remember that.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
the session I
Ooh,
came
yeah.
down when Miriam's character died.
Yeah,
Which
that
that-
was an interesting time.
Yeah, that was just down
Yeah.
the street from here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it was
like
right down
right
there.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, my
This place almost
character is
got
like
blown up.
Yeah.
yeah, one of my character's first patients in the RP died, which was fun.
Oh, did you have to treat Miriam?
Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
right when I came down, there was just chaos going on. So I ran with Spoon's character, and who's also a medic, and we ran over to the incinerator to just see Miriam's character on the ground dying, a face-off going off with the Magi and Shimetsu, one of the other synthetic characters who did the job being held up by everyone. It was chaos. It was trial by fire for me.
I mean, that
It
was
was
the
pretty
Undercity
much-
for most sessions.
Yeah, it was figuring out who this person belonged to and who it was, and it was like, it's your person, no, it's your person. It was like, no, hang on. Okay, who is
Yeah.
he? He's acting alone. Okay, you can have him. I don't want.
Yeah.
We have enough
Yeah.
problems down here. You can take them.
We don't want to start shooting each other. This is going to be bad. What's the peaceful option here?
Wasn't that the moment when like the bots were also brought up, and it was like it got telephoned so badly that
Yeah.
it was like someone said there
Yes.
was like a nuclear bomb
Yep.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
Oh,
but
yeah.
that is also just
Oh.
part of the role play. Is that game of telephone is just no matter what map you're
It
on,
was
you're gonna have
so
some
savage.
either intentional or non-intentional miscommunication of what's actually going on, and so you're gonna have people saying, "Oh yeah,
Oh,
no,
you're
we
good.
need to send more people down to the Undercity because they got nukes down there," and that's like,
No,
Uh, yeah.
don't.
Well, in a sense,
go
it almost could have been a power grab. If a corporation
Yeah,
hung on to
exactly.
that, they can come and take over as well. So
Yep.
you would have just had another power struggle.
Yep. But I mean, that's kind of one of the beauties of the Undercity is just how constantly, like, I mean, because we do have a little bit of a council. We got 2 members, well, 1 member and then 1 unofficial member of the council.
I might as well be official. They made me
Yeah.
the mayor. It's like, I'm not going to be in the
Yeah.
council next day, begging, please. And then I'm the mayor, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What happened? What?
You were acting. We needed someone to be acting mayor, and you were already being come to constantly by everyone because they kept thinking you were still on the council or something.
There's,
Yeah,
there's
pretty
a
much.
There is a scene later on in the season, but it's so funny where I'm in Magi gear sitting in the mayor's office. So assault rifle to the side, Evolver here. I'm sitting in fucking full armor, and I'm just sitting here listening to people's problems, and it looks like a complete mob scene.
And then
Yeah.
Cleo comes in there to
And
spice up it as
Cleo
well.
Sits on this armchair, adds to the effect that I'm just over here. I have Binary's character Cross standing out front in like bodyguard position. It looked like I ran a mob, and I'm like, oh no, oh no.
I mean, realistically, though, like as much as I think we wanted, a lot of the people wanted. Okay, we need a very official-looking council that people take seriously, so that when corporations come down and want to, arrest someone or something, they have someone they can talk to. But it is still the Undercity. It is still a lot of people who don't respect any kind of authority, whether it be from corporate or otherwise. And so you kind of need a little bit of that, like, oh, this is a guy, is he running the mob? Is that what's going on here? That kind of energy does kind of assist with that position of leadership in the Undercity. The fact that Kimmy's also one of those kind of like people that people go to is because you're in that position of power at the Coven. It's people are like, oh, okay, they have a lot of magical resources, at their disposal. This wolf dude has a lot of guns at his disposal. We don't know what's going on there. That's some shady stuff. It's like that kind of helps assist. Like, oh, okay, we can put them in a position of power. They're not just going to fold at the nearest sign of corp involvement. whether or not that's good for council stuff in general is another thing. But it gives something that
Falls
yeah
with
yeah
corporate
you know
involvement.
Mixed results.
yeah
Mixed
yeah
results.
exactly. But
Yeah.
it makes people think that it's working, and I think that is its own level of success right there.
Talking about corporate involvement just makes me think of how, for the majority of the season, I was sitting there constantly trying to tell people that I wasn't a Masaru agent. And then one day I came down in one of their jets with them, so it
You
didn't
made
help
it
my case.
so hard. You made it
I
so
mean-
hard.
And
And then
me.
I went up there
Meanwhile,
to say a
she's
meeting, and they're like, "We're going
petrified.
down. You want to come with us?" And I'm like, "Sure, fine, whatever."
comes off transport. Everyone glares at Esper as they walk.
And meanwhile, I have like deals with like tridents and like that, and my character is fucking
Oh, yeah.
petrified of being shot on sight for having
Yeah.
any corporate affiliations, and then gets called up to Masaru to as well later on, and is like, I'm not a corporate. I'm just trying to sell things, okay?
Yeah.
I
mean,
remember you came to me terrified at one point, thinking I was going to do something, and I was like, "No." You
Yeah.
kind of got. I know the details. You kind of got forced into it. I'm not going to punish you for that situation.
Yeah, I mean, and in general though, that is kind of one way to make a living down in the dregs of society, both in the row and the sewers of the row where we are. Is that idea of, oh yeah, you kind of, if you can get that corporate sponsor, if you can get your way in a little bit, or even just on the good side of a corp, even if you're not actually receiving payment from them, that's kind of a helpful thing, to have that level of protection from them, as an informant, or just as, like, okay, I have a little bit of extra cash flow because they want me to, make something that's difficult for them to make because we have magical resources down here. Things like that. That is kind of a
Likely to basically be aggressive towards you in the first place if you have like a
Mhm.
somewhat friendly relationship with them. So like, oh no, they're good. I've run into them before.
I
Yeah.
mean, in a sense, that actually was part of the Magi's upbringing. Was a
Yeah.
corporate. Someone from corporate wanted Masaru out and was funding us.
Yep.
Our benefactor was a corporate, pretty much someone from a completely different corporation that wanted to kick them out just to have their stock suffer.
Yep.
And so they were funding us.
Mhm.
We actually faced the opposite side of that conundrum in the row clinic when I was in the row, because the session I came in was when Avalon decided to cut their supplies and funding to all of the Avalon supplied clinics in the RP. And so they basically were holding us hostage to like try and like get the rebel factions to reveal themselves and like turn themselves in, and like have so that all of the citizens would turn on them because they would no longer have medical supplies.
Yeah.
So if it kind of like shows an opposite end. If like you do rely too much on the corporations, they can just pull that plug at any moment.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
Avalon was
it's
a
a
big one.
hugely delicate balance. And I think that's one of the more fun approaches is like, we got people.
Oh,
He'll be back.
Ah.
There we go.
I'm alive. I don't know what happened.
Hey,
No,
it's
Fenris,
VR
don't return
tracking
the
these
voice.
wacky subtypes.
Fenris, I think I'm gonna take this away. You're getting a bit high.
no.
That actually is a question I wanted to ask about. So, like the whole medical RP experience in general, because up in the row, there's also way more, like you have like entire back rooms with like MRIs and like all these extra machines. Did you role play that out a whole lot differently when you were down here at all, or like just the fact that all we've got down here is that we've got that one machine that like is kind of hooked up to a chair, and then everything else is just tables and
Yeah, that definitely comes into account. There was definitely way more like toys and resources we can play with in the row. There was actually a scene back in the row where we had to get a crack team together to take off Wrench's arms and eye because it was killing him.
Mhm.
So we had to do like a multi-step process of like getting technicians, getting the medical people together. We like MRI'd him, got him on this like huge like surgery desk. When we did the surgery itself, we put him in the row clinic. There's this like big vat thing. We just stuck him in there like it's Luke Skywalker in Star Wars.
Yeah,
He's in
I
the
mean,
back of
hey,
the tank.
yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, down here we only have beds and the surgery machines and stuff. So it definitely is more of a challenge, but we make through with it.
Yeah. Not to mention that the morgue part of the downstairs clinic of the clinic down here is literally just behind
Yeah.
the sheet. There's a couple bodies, and that's
That
kind of
caused
Yep.
issues because Catbug's character ended up
Oh,
having
Vale.
who was Vale, ended up having a flaw where they needed to like feast a bit on I can't remember if it's like full
They were very
cannibalism or
carnival.
something. They were very
full
carnivorous.
carnivores.
Yeah.
So when
One
we
of the
weren't
many
looking,
carnivores in the Undercity.
yeah, at one point when we weren't looking, she actually snuck into our morgue and ate Renegade's extra his body after they died, who is another one of our medics in there after they turned into a character.
Oh God.
Well then, that's a thing.
I did not even know that happened.
Yeah, I didn't know
I
that
didn't know that
happened.
either.
Yeah.
Oh
Um,
god.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things in general that like it is pretty easy to keep secrets down here just because like there's not all the cameras, there's not all that going on. So we also have other very secret things going on, like stuff going on over here.
Yeah, you want to
Look
tell us
at
about
these
all
two.
that?
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the Duskstarters, as much as you want to. Obviously, don't feel the
Yes,
need
as
to
much as
Yes,
spoil
yes,
if you
yes.
don't want to.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, well, for the
Let's
most
see, where
part,
is our-
at first, for me at least, when I
Mhm.
first, I wasn't fully inducted into it till a little bit later on, so to speak. Like, it was like
Mhm.
literally the very end of season 2 when I actually became one. And at that point, both of my fellow, sisters had left. They went to Masaru, and then they were like, "We don't want to be a part of this anymore." And they, one of them went off somewhere. Actually, no, both of them went off into hiding.
Well, off
somewhere in the
planet. Yeah,
city.
they went hiding. Yeah.
Yeah, they went into hiding, and then I'm sitting there as the sole only person, and then I start hearing a dark voice in my head saying,
Yeah.
"You need to find others of Shadow." I'm just like, okay.
So,
All
so for those unfamiliar, because again, this RP is huge. There are genuinely people who have heard of the Duskstarters and still have no idea what they are. What is the general idea of what the Duskstarters are?
So we are to put it bluntly, we're a cult when it comes to
A shadow cult, basically. Yeah.
We're a shadow cult. We serve this entity that has come to be known as Grim Lord Dusk, and
Or Sword Daddy.
Sword
What?
Daddy, as we have a
What?
yes.
What?
So the model has swords sticking into it that they used for it, and so the joke that we had was calling it Sword Daddy. Okay, because it referred to us as its children because we were children of Shadow, the daughters of Shadow,
Yeah.
and from that point, it was more like our whole goal was to free him from his little, jail
His
cell.
bindings. He's
Yeah.
more or less imprisoned, essentially. Like he's kind of like the Shadow Mother as far as like the other greater spirits, but he's been binded by some
Yeah, he's
sort
been
of
sealed
spell,
away for
and
some
it's
reason.
our duty to unseal him and release him from that.
Ah, yes. Some reason he's bound. Has
Yeah.
nothing to
We don't
do
know
with
that.
what he is.
Important.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's gonna be totally fine. Like if y'all
It's
y'all
totally
release
fine.
them, Dusk will be totally reasonable and not harm
Yeah,
anyone,
look.
right? Yeah.
I've had
Yeah,
the pleasure of him
absolutely.
growling at me.
Absolutely.
He
Absolutely
seems
won't-
reasonable from a distance.
won't harm anyone. That's totally
Nope.
it totally doesn't
Yep.
require the life essence of
Life.
individuals in order to do so, and I totally
Yeah,
didn't cause
totally.
us to have a medic shortage at all. It's not like
Yeah.
Allegedly. Okay.
allegedly. Like I said, it
Allegedly.
wasn't me.
Oh,
It wasn't
close.
me.
Oh.
Think
OSL?
we-
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you are.
There we go. There we go. Okay, you're back in OSL.
Okay,
Can
good.
you hear us? Very good. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Again.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right, sorry. But yeah, I was very much the kind of same way with Kimmy's character. Like, I designed. So Lilith has a lot of. She has a very traumatic past. She was ostracized as being as being an inhuman arachne, and in the magic community, she's a shadow user. So that's a very much, that's why the Duskstarters are such a secret thing, is because shadow magic is basically shunned upon within magic community at this point. It's very frowned upon, looked down. So she has trauma from triple things: being a mage, a inhuman, and a shadow user. And I built her originally not being part of the faction because I didn't know, because like it'd be fun to actually see how things develop. And then episode 7 happens. She basically goes full primal on someone, and hi, do you want to join it? Do you want to go to on a trip?
Oh.
Don't worry, you won't like it, but trust me.
You won't
Yeah, that's
like
right. That's so I forgot what scenario ended up happening, but there was just a point where we were just like, we're so done with all the stuff that's going on right now, and I just look at Cassandra, who is played by Avanera, and they we just look at each other and are like, two can't do this alone. And they immediately look at Lilith and they're like, "Hey, you want to go on a little field trip? You love it." Spoiler alert: you won't love it. Literally verbatim. And so we go down there and we're like, "Hi, so here's what we're doing. I hope that you understand. Would you like to come play tea with us?"
So at this point, it's not asking and it's telling, because they know.
We've shown you ours. Hopefully you accept, because I really don't want to kill
Don't
you.
yeah, exactly.
I've shown you my layer. Please respond.
Shown you my layer. Please respond. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see where Duskstarters goes in the future, knowing how knowing how things
Yeah.
are progressing down there.
So
I'm definitely
to-
looking
to-
very much forward
listen.
to it because Ariana's character's part, and that's actually helped Lilith's development exceptionally well between her and Esper. Maya, for the record, if you don't know Ariana's character.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One of the key things that's going to be interesting to see in season 4 is the fact that in order to release him from his bindings, we needed to gather 5 crystals. Each one has to contain a person's soul. And we got our 4th one this season. So we literally only have one more. And so there's a huge possibility we'll find out.
Yep.
We're going to have to fuck around, and we're going to find out.
What exactly is
So-
going to happen?
So we're either going to wake him up, all of us are just going to have our souls sucked out of us, and we're all going to die on the spot for,
Oh my God.
screwing around with it. Or, everyone else suffers, and then we have to sit there and act like we're scared too of this entity. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like, man, not my problem from the other side of the city. Blatantly ignoring this.
just
Yeah.
sipping on a Mai Tai.
You know, this is-
Esper, do you want to go somewhere? Yeah, I think we need to go. Like,
so speaking of, with Fenris retiring, before we get to Fenris retiring in general, so the Magi in general, like, where did that kind of come from? Like, in terms of, I mean, it's obviously not just you founding it. It was also Doja's character and Sentinel's character, Theris and Voxine.
Theris and
But-
Voxine were a big part of it.
But so, like, how did that sort of come to be?
So,
'Cause-
it's let's see. Coming into season 3, it's really easy to say. My character, Doge, Ferris, Voxine, and Fenris were very close at the end of season 2. At that point, we were pretty much, just down here, we're watching Undercity, protecting as best we can. So we had that strong tie coming into season 3. And with Masaru doing whatever they wanted, we were just like, we can't keep doing this, but there's nothing we could do at this time. Voxine got a call. And that call was a dead drop from the benefactor. At that point, we were getting funded, and we figured out we could make something out of this. Actually, in actuality, which most people don't know, the Magi has, in a sense, 3 heads. It's all 3 of our characters. I am the, I guess, visual leader, the one that everyone sees.
Yeah.
But I still rely on the other 2, and during a lot of the time, a lot of the decisions are still made between the 3 of us. Doja's character got very wrapped up in his own personal story that was going on, and at one point we had to
Understandably
basically...
so.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful story. If you ever watch Doge Mains' channel, it's a beautiful story of a love story that happened with the... And I'm not going to ruin it, but I suggest it. It made me cry. But at the end, so it was me and Voxine making these decisions, and we were just basically pushing what we could, getting on board who we can. And ultimately, near the end, I think it was around episode 16, realizing I can't keep doing this. My character's actually slowly dying from his own physical illnesses or spiritual illnesses. It's really weird how it worked. It was kind of all typed. But that's when we started looking at someone else and we started figuring out people. Around that, early on in the season, we picked up Winston's character, Varen. Now, he never shown in Magi and Regalia, but early on, I told him I don't want him seen with us. This is during the time when Esper wanted us dead. And so I made Winston, in a sense, the eyes inside the coven.
Mm-hmm.
Was...
For the record, the whole reason why Esperine wanted the Magi dead.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
There wasn't a massacre.
No.
There was not a massacre of corporate troops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so as someone who was also there and participated in that, I actually didn't know what was about to go down until it started going down. Until we're all standing there behind the pillars in the sanctum, like with guns, making a kill box ready for these Masaru troops to come out of the office. That was
sorry. I'm sorry.
We had to replace
Yeah.
this carpet. Thank you very much.
Do you know how much blood I had to get out of there's cracks in there. It's not just like a smooth stone floor.
Dude,
It gets everywhere, man.
Did none of you know Prestidigitation? It's the simplest cleaning spell.
Not for the entire floor. It has a limited range.
Just keep casting it. You'll be fine. Drink mana potions while you're going.
Oh yeah, keep casting it. Just not a person that gets damaged by casting magic or anything.
I don't actually know that in character still to this point. Don't even know that.
You don't know that?
No, I don't know that.
I did not realize you never.
No,
figured
I
that
never
out.
knew that. The only time was in the tavern where I had an idea, but when Nico was going to say something, you're like, no, it's fine, it's fine. So I was like, okay, that's weird. I didn't understand. And I never saw your hand doing that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, I think the magic users did still tend to have a pretty good lock on whether or not people knew about, there were still characters by the end of the RP that didn't know that magic was real. Mostly upper city, but yeah, exactly. It's, people did, while spells were a thing, people did still kind of have a good job of keeping it unlocked, other than the fact that, we have a magic coven, why would they have things like that? But for the most part,
it's a secret book club. Not a secret book club, but it's a library. We're a library. That's all we are.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
But no, the massacre.
The massacre.
Well, the biggest reason why in the world Esperine was so upset at that fact was the fact that were nameless. These were nameless faces that I didn't, Esperine didn't know at all, who they were, and the place that they were killed was inside the coven, which had been purported to be a neutral place and a safe spot. And here we just had a whole bunch of corporate guards murdered in there, we didn't have a name for these individuals, and we were so terrified they were immediately going to say the Coven killed these guys. And,
So we're
so
calling
Esperin was like,
Nostaro, too.
no, yeah.
Oh
But
no, the
we're
funny
not-
part is this. I was going to take full credit for that situation. In fact, the Coven was not going to take it, but yeah, you wouldn't know that.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
And so I was immediately paranoid the entire time that we were going to catch flack for what they did. And so that's why Esperin was like so gung-ho at first until
But I respected that, and that's why I kept my distance from it since that point.
Yeah.
And the fact of actually, I'm telling people, don't walk in front of the Coven in Regalia. Stay out of it. Stay away from it. Out of my wishes and their wishes, stay away from it. And they listen mostly. That's why I shoved Winston in there quietly and asked him to do it for me.
yeah. So you
Yeah.
take my head of security and turn him into a rat for you.
But well, it's even worse now because at the very end of the season, I offered him my position. I offered him pretty much the title of Anubis.
Yep.
If he takes or not, it's still up to him. I think it's still in the air. It's still Winston's decision, but the offer's there, which, that could lead to interesting stuff going into season 4.
He's
Yep,
now the
yep,
big
yep.
dog on campus.
Exactly.
He-
Speaking of, we do actually have a clip related to this.
Yes, we do.
This clip, I love this clip
We
so
do.
much.
All right.
Let's see. Oh,
Listen,
yes.
in the last week, I have been shot. I have been shot through. I have been bitten by zombies, mauled by zombies. I have been pushed off a roof by a giant
What is
hamster.
this
I have been
monologue?
splashed with acidic bile.
Is he
and now I
okay?
have been chewed on by large crabs. It's fine. I'm fine.
Oh my god, you are
Everything's-
taking
Yeah,
my job.
I agree. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
You are-
Everything's
you
fine.
are taking
know
over.
what? I go-
Listen,
So
It
that's
is-
Winston, obviously, as Varen over the radio.
It's so funny because he's explaining this, and I'm like having flashbacks to season 2, and I'm like, oh my god, wait a second. He's just
History repeats
history.
itself.
Yeah.
It's Winston's lovely. I'm so glad I got to RP with him.
He is a delight to roleplay with. Yeah.
He's the light, like even out of character, out of RP, I've met with him and we talk,
The
and
conspiracy theories that he would come
Yeah.
up with, and
it's
challenge
so
Esperin for.
great. It's so great.
Just in general, Varen has such a I'm tired of this shit, but someone's got to do it attitude, and it's so entertaining to
In
just
a
be around.
sense, it's really funny because he's more extreme than what my character was in that situation.
Yo, yeah.
He
'Cause
was straight up gung ho first more than I was.
because he's actively every time that any talks about Undercity independence, and paying rent comes up, he's like, why are we paying rent?
Oh my god, he was so against paying rent.
Yeah.
Up until the end, there's no rent in the Undercity. Otherwise, he's gonna blow it up. I swear he will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He is
Undercity's gonna go
full-
bankrupt.
Yeah, full.
Look, anything happened, but I don't want to
anarchist.
pay rent.
Yeah. I mean, that said, though, who does want to? Period. But
Yeah, true.
And I'm down here.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one of the reasons why you live in a sewer, not because you enjoy the real estate. It's because, this is, a place that I can kind of
a
live for
lovely,
cheap.
Double condo out here. You
Yeah.
get a nice
Yeah.
view of the sewage
no,
water running down.
I get it
in
every
front of you.
morning. I get a nice view of the desert. It's great. It's right next to the ice. It's very well cooled. It's great.
It's
lovely.
fine. Just go to the air district. It is the
Just
nicest
don't
place
touch-
in there.
Just don't touch the railings unless you have your tetanus shot, because that might be another issue.
We have railings down here. Excuse me.
When did that happen?
Funny enough, the balconies. Look at
The balconies
apartments do.
themselves. Yeah.
The
the
apartments
balconies,
do.
Yeah,
Some
but we
places
don't have it on the bottomless pit in front of the coven.
Yeah.
No, how
Details,
many
details,
bottles
it's
were
fine.
Yeah,
put
I think
inside
the
that
knowledge
condo?
district is we're lost in all regards of fencing.
Yeah.
It's Bub's fishing spot. He has to.
That
You
would-
put the fence up. He can't do it.
And
It
unfortunately, that's where he died because of that.
Oh yeah. He
No,
died because of that. That's
no,
right.
Yeah.
Rip Bub.
He-
Best
heavy,
character of the Underbind.
heavy
The best.
loss. Heavy loss in the Undercity right there. But I mean, hey, like while we don't have anyone to, continue fishing down in the Undercity, and we'll probably start running lower on food. It'll be
It's okay.
fine.
We have fish. We have
Yeah.
people who
We
can
had
who
fish.
can yeah.
We
Yeah.
had fish. That's the thing.
Yeah, because we also have the Kraken.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
we-
just eating the fish.
And
Oh,
occasional
okay.
slummers here and there.
Okay. The Kraken is asleep, I think. Right?
We
For now.
Yeah,
For
for
now.
now we think the Kraken's asleep. Granted, it ate 2 more slummers at the end of episode 20.
Yeah.
So the most
Don't
recent
remind
thing
me.
it did
Don't
was
remind me.
is it 8 more people.
I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah.
We kept
To
that
my
one quiet as
knowledge,
best we
they-
could.
Yeah.
Weren't they told not to get near the water and they still got near the water?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, see that's their own fault. That's their fault.
That's
The
that's
water
just
district
Darwinism
is
right
just
there.
one giant pier as well. You kind of have to be near the water.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to walk up that way. No one people stopped taking
Just-
the pier
just-
after a while and they
just-
started taking
Yeah,
the
no,
back.
Genuinely,
Why doesn't
people.
anyone just float? Fly.
Not everyone has.
Not everyone
magic
can jump or
expertise.
Fly.
float, Esper.
Just drink this. Then just drink this.
Most
Yeah.
expensive ticket. You have to buy a levitation potion to get in and out of the place.
God.
Mhm.
sounds like a scheme. I could see
Yeah,
it. I
it's
could
like
see it.
And here we used to
Actually,
think that the upper city was expensive to get into.
Notes.
But yeah, no, we had a lot of not just in the Undercity. There were still some pretty heart-wrenching deaths throughout the role play in general. I mean,
Oh.
this is kind of coming. This is our first episode since the finale, and there were some pretty major deaths near and in the finale itself. In fact, we have a clip lined up of one for you, OSL.
We do have a clip.
Oh.
Here it comes.
Oh
That was
no.
a fucking mess.
Oh no.
I know I wasn't with your grandma, but thank you for being there.
You're a good kid.
Times like this.
Oh dear.
I wish I was still able to cry.
I wouldn't change a thing. Not a single moment with you.
Tell me that. Tell me that.
So
I'm totally not crying right now. Okay.
That one was rough. I remember.
yeah, so that is Henderson, the kind of leader of Scraptown, which Lilith kind of had a little bit of a familial relationship with due to their relationship with Sapphire. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that. I mean, not just the death specifically, but like,
But yeah.
yeah.
So after the big incident in the Undercity, Lilith was absolutely terrified to be around her because she was, people were shooting each other via things, and she was at her worst points. Sapphire she had met Sapphire earlier, and being both Arachne, they basically kind of came to each other and eventually had a very close bond throughout there, and she offered her their home, and Henderson kindly agreed as well. And basically she found a second family through the whole development. Honestly, if it wasn't for Sapphire Henderson, Lilith wouldn't have reacted ended up in a positive way. They really helped her reinforce a lot of good traits with her, and honestly kept her afloat. Um, and she saw Henderson and Sapphire as a mother and father eventually.
Mhm.
She had to say goodbye to him. It was a testament to Icon, who played Sapphire and Mountain Man. They were absolutely amazing to play with, and the relationship we built is one of my favorite things of season 3. I couldn't ask for anything better as far as that.
Yeah, and I mean, Henderson went out in pretty much the way you'd expect him to go out. that will be said, because up until that point, he had taken well over 100 gunshot wounds before he even went into that mission
Yeah.
and survived. So like, it was just a matter of when, this guy keeps pushing his luck, keeps getting into these huge battles, and I mean, he's single-handedly kind of dealing with the entire bandit like ecosystem down in the wasteland, as the kind of acting as the bandit leader of sorts of Scraptown.
Well, he is a Bandit Lord. He actually is a
Exactly.
Bandit
Yeah,
Lord.
exactly. So it's like, it'll be interesting to see how that develops going into season 4.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, sure, he died, in exactly the way that any bandit lord would want to go out, in like from wounds from battle, but how long will that sort of pseudo peace that he brokered last? I mean, obviously, other things going on, and doesn't look like that'll last long at all already. Just from other things that were happening in the wasteland in the finale episode, but that'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Definitely. Well, they definitely made a huge impact. If it wasn't for those two, she'd be willing to fight or get stronger. Those two very much contributed to embolden Lilith to be a little more proactive in that case, because she's a very reserved person, and yeah.
I mean, but because one of the other things is that like you went on runs as well, right? Like that was was that part, like was Lilith willing to help out with that, that whole fight and resistance? Was that something that like she kind of came in with, or something that kind of developed where she was more willing to put herself in the line of fire?
Developed. Because the thing with Lilith is she has a primalistic side of her that she hates, she resents, because she doesn't like that part of her. And the more stress, the more things she gets in, the more that comes out. And she just doesn't want to hurt people. She's a very kind person and doesn't want to do that. She was raised to be kind and nurture to people, try to make the best of situations. But through this whole thing, a lot of people have basically said it's okay to fight. It's okay to fight for those you care for. And she's seen so much of her friends hurt and loved ones die that she doesn't want to sit in the sidelines as much anymore.
Because I mean, you even ended up going on the big finale mission, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
that was
multiple people did obviously here, but
that was literally right after Henderson died.
Yeah.
When from father died to I must kill.
Yeah. Speaking of characters that went on that mission, so Builder Lux went on that mission.
Yeah, it was a bit unexpected. Actually, so the funny thing about that was that it wasn't even planned in character until basically that session. Because I was talking with Capo and Knickknack after the Undercity finale, which was the session before, and Capo was talking about how the Magi part of this, because the Magi were going along with the runners on this Trident run, how they were not bringing along a single medic. So I then and there was like, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's send Lux on this. Let's see how it goes.
Well, I mean, we do have a clip. It does seem like you helped out a little bit.
We do.
Oh. Oh, is that Vin?
He's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You went back
Come
for
on.
Vin, I remember.
Fuck.
I am very.
You're the only one who recognized he was gone.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay. Can you walk at all?
Okay. I'm limping.
Here. Support on me. Support on me.
I
Come on.
highly suspect that this will be our last push for the core.
Come on.
Oh, severe.
Come on. We'll get you back to the pack, then I got you.
Oh, I mean, hey, if you didn't have a, if you didn't have that medic, if you didn't
If anyone
have,
needs meds,
Lux there,
I need it right now. He's dying.
Yeah, and we're right here watching those two die.
Yeah.
Yeah, because so that character was at the time was an NPC Magi character played by Friendly Explosion. He was Vin. He was brought along on the mission because there was an extra slot, and Fenris had assigned him to be my bodyguard of sorts because Lux was going into this with 0 combat experience, 0 mission experience. The only time he had ever fired a gun in his life was a couple sessions earlier when he had bought a gun from Sten in the Wasteland, where he was trained how to use a gun for the first time. So, yeah, going on this was a whole new world for Lux because, I mean, he grew up in the mid city in Avalon. He had 0 knowledge of anything of the sorts of like gangs and violence and all of that and fighting. So he was really going into this with no clue of what would happen. And after the scene of after everyone had left Vin without knowing he was left back there. After I got him back, he did end up losing his leg, but at least he had his life.
Yep. And hey, I mean, he got a new fancy cybernetic leg.
I think he actually took your leg, right?
I think he tried to take one of my old. Yeah, he took the prosthetic, the non-cybernetic one.
Yeah. Well, so as the person who installed it, it was unfortunately, as funny as that would be, it was not that one. It was just.
Oh, it wasn't. Okay.
Yeah, it was one. Yeah. V4 had an actual non-mundane cybernetic sitting around. I think we went with a non-mundane. Okay. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to double check, but Elliot basically was like, "No, this guy is good. Hook him up with the good stuff." And so he got an actual cybernetic leg, not just like a peg leg. Yeah.
I find that funny, that entire mission, because that was actually also his initiation into the Magi itself.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we now have 2 of them in the Undercity Medic. Spoons' character Kaido was actually originally Magi as well.
Yeah.
He was the medic that was working with us the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, in general, it's kind of good to have, like, for a group that the main idea is to protect the Undercity, it kind of makes sense that you'd pick up a lot of people in general, and especially medics who tend to want to help people already. So
yeah.
So yeah. Because quite frankly, there are a lot of dangers down here in the Undercity. It's not just, we got to worry about Basara. We also got to worry about stuff like, we got these new things down here. We got wands now.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is perfectly fine.
It's a firecracker, all right? Don't worry about it.
That's a hell of a firecracker.
It's a toy gun. Nothing,
yes.
Nothing,
yeah.
Right.
A toy gun. Let's look at this clip then.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Yes. On a side note, hang on, I'm taking cover. I made the right chance. Take cover.
Yeah, let's just.
Nico can barely fire a gun without falling over. Now that I think about it.
God, that moment was.
just the genuine look on his face was probably the most priceless thing in that moment, where I was just like watching him literally fall over trying to shoot it. I'm sitting here like, oh, he'll be fine. There shouldn't be much kickback with a magical gun. Apparently, there's kickback on magical guns.
Yeah, I mean that thing fired. How many projectiles does that even fire? That's the ice wand, right?
I think it's like 3 or 5 or something like that.
No,
Yeah.
that's like 5, I think, or 6. I don't remember the chart. We're gonna test it in here. Yeah, it's more than
Oh my
5.
goodness.
That's more than 5.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, so the wands in general, that was something that like that was a big story, like that was actually seeded in all the maps. Like we had people
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
like could potentially have found them. In fact,
Our
I believe
faction
it
was
wasn't.
technically
Yeah,
the Duskstarters faction was technically the very last faction to get the
Exactly, yeah.
information,
Which
and
makes sense
we were the
because-
ones who ended up to jump
Yeah.
on it. Pretty much everyone was either too busy with other stuff,
they just ignored
they
it.
put it on the back
Yeah.
burner and
Mhm.
whatnot, or they were just like,
think it
well, I
was
don't want to deal with this.
First in the row. I think it was something in
Yeah,
the row.
I think-
first,
I
wasn't
It was the
think-
row originally.
it was
It was
mentioned in the
a-
row. It was mentioned in the wasteland.
Wasteland. And Undercity was the last ones to find out about
Yep.
it, which is really funny.
Yeah, but honestly, that's probably for the better because I mean, these are the magic focused characters. You know, we have people in other maps that have magic, but we don't have other. I mean, we have a little bit of this, but the Coven is a place built around learning about magic and like kind of helping with magic things. So the idea that the moment they get that, they're gonna beeline for that. Like of course.
Well,
that-
and
That's the good thing. Imagine if someone who doesn't respect
Yeah,
magic gets a hold of
exactly,
it. It would have been
yeah.
an absolute nightmare.
Absolutely, yeah.
well, and
'cause-
especially since the Duskstarters, like they want to keep it within the Coven and the Undercity and there and keep it out of like the corporate hands as well. Like they just want to. We just basically took the agenda like, all right, get this shit going, but we don't other people know about this crap.
Yeah. I mean, because to be fair, imagine if a corporation had access to these. Like, I think one of the best descriptions of how terrifying the idea of a wand that, like, you don't need to be a master spellcaster, you just have to have some level of magic in you to be able to use them. The best description of why that's terrifying is like, okay, imagine a character so this was something that Leo's character Bernie was talking about at one point in a scene with Winston is a scene with Varen is like, okay, you get if you get clipped by a Shimetsu rifle, he's got a little burn hole in his ear. That's kind of it. Imagine like magic. If a magic weapon clips you and like we've got spells that can just suck souls out of people. That's not even it doesn't matter how accurate you are.
Especially with this one.
With how unknown magic is. While I know that none of these are homing or anything, the average person who knows about magic doesn't know that that's not a thing. Like they're just going to assume so they
They're
can just
terrifying.
point that at me and I just blow up. Like how do I resist against that? I can't wear body armor against that. Do I have to start getting into magic? Do I need runes of protection? Like that's absolutely terrifying for the average person.
I think I can't remember if it was this one or the other one because we only have 2 of the 3 that we ended up unlocking for ourselves. But this was utilized in a murder, and it caused Espering to look at it and be like, "These are incredibly dangerous, and I don't want this to get out of hand."
Yeah.
So we were doing our best at. Even once we learned how to manufacture them and stuff, we were like, we don't want to give we only gave out like how to craft part of it to even put it together, and that they would have to bring it to us so that way we could regulate how many actually goes out.
Yeah.
Only a handful of people actually know the full recipe. The Duskstarters, pretty much, and I think Pebbles, or did we get part of Pebbles?
No, we gave Pebbles the rune, but I don't think we didn't give them the full thing. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, it'll be interesting to see how the landscape develops now that because one of them was taken out of the Undercity by
Yeah.
by Twins character Tinnen. Yeah. So
taking this from you so you don't hurt anyone with it, and it's just like,
yep. I mean, hey, that's a valid response. If he's got it and he doesn't trust you, why is he gonna give it back to you?
I mean, that it was perfectly valid response. It just, the thing that's led him to taking that was I saw him being attacked by one of the strange rift creatures that were happening there at the end, and or rather, he was beside of one. I thought it was attacking him, I should say. And then I started firing at it, thinking, I'm going to save his life. But apparently, he was trying to escort it back to one of the rifts to send it back home. Which, these things are intelligent, and we were sitting here like, this is just a distraction.
I mean, most of them tried to act friendly and then slashed half of us. So yes, it was a valid response to not trust them.
Yeah, that's fair. Speaking of those things coming out of the rifts, that was a whole thing down here. Personally, I didn't interact with that story a whole lot myself because my character is a synth. I can't really interact with magic other than to be shot at maybe. I was specifically shot at one time by that was not with a wand, but Lilith. I was standing near something and Lilith shot like right past me, but that's unrelated. That was when the pirates were being nuisances.
The pirates.
Oh yeah.
But let me think. So, what exactly was going on with the portals for those who do know? Because that was not something that again I was interacting with.
It was something I was in and out of. I know how to deal with it way more than I am, and I got brought in on it because big guy, big guy with guns.
For some reason, I don't even think we even got the full story because I think it's probably going to be something more that we look into coming into season 4 probably. But there was something to do where the veil was getting thinner. These creatures were coming out trying to consume magic. They were going after something,
and crystals and things.
And then during the finale that happened where we were just being tons of them rifts opening everywhere and us trying to close them and trying to be like, no, go away. We found that there was this spirit. It was technically radiant is what it was called, which was something that we saw from Bo's character during earlier seasons, and it was like we closed all the rifts finally, and then we found that spirit, and they're like, thank you for saving me from them, but they'll come after me again maybe. And it's just like, oh, okay, cool, great. This might not be the only time we see these things. And so we were looking through these portals, and it was apparently just countless planes or elements.
Yeah,
of all
other
kinds
elemental
of stuff.
planes and different realms, basically.
Yeah.
Because they pulled other things. It wasn't just those creatures. We pulled elementals from other planes that caused other issues.
And it caused other issues, invasive species. I seem to recall a very serious one, actually.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know if these are from the rifts, but that would certainly make a lot of sense.
A lot of us believe it because the magic they had was kind of weird.
Yeah. But let's have a look at this clip real quick, and then we'll dive into what we're talking about.
Speak of the devil. Fucking hate these goddamn things. I swear to God. Well. Ah, you son of a bitch. Chuck.
Load a full clip, why don't you?
I will deal with the hamsters. I swear
there
to
was
God.
No hesitation dealing with them at this point.
I've had a rough day.
Wait.
Yes, that's me shooting the hamsters. I've had a really fucking bad day. Do you want to add?
You want to add to it? That day, that day the hamsters, they're not
Yeah.
hamsters. We've been calling them hamsters.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah, the
fucking got to me.
I actually
they-
remember. I remember the first day, because I was an extra earlier on in the season. The first day we had the hamsters come in, I think Kaneko just got a bunch of us near the end of session. We're like, you guys should want to run around the Undercity as hamsters
my
and
God.
like make a ruckus. And I know the clip is somewhere, but there's a clip of us running past. I think it was a Joe Bowl stream. We're running
It was
past.
loose as well. Loose and
Yeah,
Jobo.
yeah.
Yeah, because well, Joel was with us as one of the hamsters. We were running past Luz, Sonata, and some pillbugs.
Yeah.
Just making a ruckus, like making all those hamster noises. It was great.
I think
Yeah.
my
Fun.
favorite one was when you actually chased Ava, Cassandra, because I remember she looked at him and then you started chasing and she started running to her house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No.
Still remember you gave me the hamster to devour and gave you a panic attack.
What? Sorry, you were talking to me?
And when you said I could eat the hamster in front of you.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I never knew what it looked like when Lilith actually eats something, and it's terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean this?
Yeah.
I hate
Yeah.
it.
I
Well,
mean,
it is
hey,
an arachnid. She's an
Yeah,
arachnid. I'm not surprised, but it's like
some kind of spider mouth thing. It's yeah.
It's like, "Ew." But those were a byproduct of those ribs, or rather, what was happening to them. The fact that they could enlarge was actually they were casting magic, and we had I forgot what it was, but we were actually studying one, and it ended up causing the entire room to want salad.
What?
Was that just a magical byproduct of their own magic?
Basically, magic was seeping. Magic was like seeping into the wildlife, and it was actually causing them to be able to have magical powers as well. But because they were, not fully intelligent, they didn't know what they were doing, and they were just responding with things.
I think they were fully intelligent at the end.
Yeah.
The hamster men.
Oh yeah. Oh
The
yeah.
hamster men.
They wanted Varen.
Those hamsters. I mean, the culmination of that story, like, because first of all, so we had Joel on in one of the early episodes of the podcast. The culmination of that was, or rather, the instigating point of that was Joel wrote a story weave about, like, because one episode.
Hamster.
Well, before even that, it was because the fact that, like, a hamster was in his tower at one point, just because Kaneko was messing around. He then wanted it to be a whole, like, infestation that eventually turned into him wanting to fist fight a hamster even further down the line, which of course he did. There's a fantastic clip if you look for it on Joel Bull's clips of like him coming up to the arena down here in the Undercity by the water plant, and like there's just these 3 shirtless hamsters with humanoid bodies, like ready to fight, ready to go.
They turned into JoJo characters.
Yeah, they're literally the Pillar
Play
Man.
the Pillar Man song.
The Pillar Man, yeah.
It was great. They would flex and pose. It was.
They had like vibro swords and stuff too, right?
I don't remember them. No, did they?
They did.
Did they?
Oh, that's
Oh my
terrifying.
God.
That's
Why?
terrifying.
Where? That's the question. I didn't know this.
Yeah, I think like
Don't
one had a vibro
underestimate
sword, the other one
hamsters.
had like a saw bat, one maybe
I
had like
remember
a
the
gun
saw
or
bat.
something.
Yeah. But yeah, that was primarily Miss Kaneko
wait,
that
that's
ran
right.
that story, and gosh, that was a delight. Like
I
every time
remember hearing
things
the
started to
call.
get too intense in the Undercity, like there'd be a little bit of a lull, and then suddenly hamsters. It was a good little bit of comedic relief that I absolutely.
That
enjoyed.
part you're talking about, right? So I didn't actually see them, but I knew that there was hamstermen because I hear Varen come up over comms and go, there are hamsters and they are wearing pants. I'm just like, what? And he's like, the hamsters have learned to wear pants. I'm just like, okay, all right. So, all right, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a.
Not much of a surprise. We're just like, yep, Undercity things. It's fine. It's
Wait,
fine.
like, all right, okay.
Welcome to Undercity.
So, weirdly enough, we've already been going for an hour. We're going to start wrapping up here, but before we do, we have some art to look at.
Oh.
We've got a lot of artists in the community and just people that have been submitting fantastic things, and obviously commission art as well. Let's before we get into any others, let's have a look at some of the capo stuff. Some of the stuff that you've got. Well, just because, since now that Fenris is retiring, you got that phenomenal comic.
The comic.
The comic.
Yeah, you've got multiple comics. let me say it. But specifically that one, the backstory one about what's going on.
That was. I love it because technically I actually told that story in season 2. That actually was something that Cleo canonically knew and knew about.
And so now, so anyone who wants to look at that is, I think Dogs is going to have links to all this that you can check out separately, including the full link to the comic. But that comic was done by Band Cannon, correct?
Yes, Band. They're lovely to work with. They were absolute doll when planning this all out, and they're very willing to work with me and keep the story in line, and even offer their own suggestions. And that, in my opinion, made it better.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, with Fenris retiring, I heavily would suggest anyone that hasn't checked out that comic, go check it out. It's no longer as big of a spoiler about what's going on with his soul and and all that. It's yeah. And then we got some nice art here of
that one from Sparkle.
Yeah,
Sparkle Ghost was loved the couple, enjoy it. They do a wedding one earlier on as well. I remember Sparkle's another person I love to work with art and stuff like that. They were very, and they're also a player. They play bats in the row, and they're also they're definitely a wonderful role player as well as artist.
Is this the wedding one that they did?
Is that it? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
the wedding there's one.
Oh.
That was before it, because that wedding was episode 3, and I think they drew that episode 2 because they heard it was happening. We're like, all right, let's get into that.
Yeah, I mean,
I love the expression he has on you.
The nervous expression.
I mean, that fits as powerful, and in a leadership role as Fenris is. I loved that dynamic between Cleo and Fenris.
He, resistance leader, mayor, dad. I mean, that's pretty much what it came down to.
I mean, it was because of her that the Magi have the name that they do, and the theme
True.
that they do.
It's true. It was actually that's something that's not even been explained in character. But Magi is an Egyptian term, and Cleo's character is from Space Egypt, as I call it. I forgot she gave it a name. I just called Space Egypt off the top of my head because I can't remember it.
Or the Egyptians?
That's not called the Egyptians.
Yeah. We called the entire time. We called the Magi the Egyptians because they were just Egyptian
until we had an actual name. Yeah, because the name did get said for so long.
There was even a moment where I was talking to Cleo, and I was like, I forgot what it was, but I had said that it was Anubis and that they were called the Magi, and her response was, "Great, so they take our culture too? Fuck them."
She was trying not to get me in trouble, and I'm just like, it's fine.
Yeah. For how many times Fenris was dying on my operating table, it was always so fearful when Cleo would just start walking into the clinic with just this deathly aura around her and just saying, like, where is my husband?
Wait, I have the shirt for this. I have the shirt for this. I have the shirt for this. My wife won't let me die.
Exactly.
I
Speaking of dying on the operating table,
Oh hey.
this was this is
Yeah.
Detroit Sentai's character, Kenneth Mori. So
Oh,
what exactly
man.
happened there, out of curiosity?
Okay, so the session before this, so at this time, Catbug's character, Vale, who is the plant woman in
Yep.
this picture, her flaw was, her major flaw was that every few sessions she would need to get her blood let or blood cleaned because it was poisonous and it was slowly killing her. So at this point, she had come to me because some of her more usual people, like Spoon's character Kaida and Fenris here, weren't available. So I was the one who was going to help her out. And me not being fully prepared for this, it got a bit of this poisonous blood squirt into my eye after I made an incision.
So I'm assuming that's what that
That's where the scar is
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
Because I was not wearing my PPE. Make sure you wear your PPE, people.
so dramatic.
This is what happens. So basically, because of that, plus my major flaw, which is I'm immunocompromised, which means I'm very weak to disease and poison. So here I was dying on the table. Adding on to that, I have daily meds I have to take, or I take a disease injury roll every session. Guess you didn't take his meds this session. So there was just these compounding factors that led to me dying in the row clinic overnight without anyone else there besides these two laymen. And
Well,
none of them are medics. They don't know.
You survived, though, at least.
But yeah, I did survive. The sad part about this was that I actually wasn't there for my death roll because my VR was super scuffed. So I was like crashing. My full body wasn't working. So I believe Kimchi was the DM at this time. He just decided to do the death roll, and then because he was busy with some other things, unfortunately. But hey, I survived.
And now
I got this six scar that makes me look like Zuko.
There you go. And there's a who is this one by?
This is by Rosalit, who was an extra last season in the Wasteland mainly.
Yeah. Well, until they became a pirate down here in the Undercity.
Yeah, she was one of the pirates.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
She was the pirate captain.
Yep.
The only one that was nice to talk to.
Yeah.
The other one was
the
a
sensible
smooth
one in the group.
The sensible one, yeah.
Yeah.
The sensible one in the group.
Yeah.
Yeah, the entire Treasure Planet reference.
Yeah.
Still.
Yes.
Yes.
This
Look
was
at how small you
drawn.
are.
This was drawn by Advocat, who is the person who is holding Esper in a box here.
Or at least their character.
Their character Chester. Which this actually was drawn before the season started. Because they wanted to take my character on an adventure because they knew that I really liked video games, as my character did, and that I was a shut-in and didn't experience anything, and so he's like, I'm going to kidnap Esper one day and we're just going to go to the wasteland and fight some
Forcible adventure.
I was just like, all right.
We were making jokes of just like you coming back red, like completely red. Because
Oh yeah,
you're not
completely
used to sunlight.
sunburnt, completely red. The unfortunate part is that it was never able to actually happen in the season. At the very end of the season, he shows up and he's like, "Hey, I have a ship. We're gonna go off planet. You want to come with me on some space adventures?" And Esperine's like, "Yeah, please."
Wait, you're gone?
I need.
Damn it! I should have taken over.
Esperine's off planet. Interesting. Well, I mean, I'm sure it
right?
won't last for the whole season break, right?
Oh yeah, it's just between. It's
Yeah.
just going to be between seasons. We're going on an adventure where they're going to be teaching Esper how to fight, and that's going to end up causing a little bit of a visual change to her.
That's exciting.
Hand Esper a gun.
And then this one is, I'm assuming this is drawn by Glitch.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
drawn by Glitch. I believe this was us talking about me and Glitch being like the flower people,
Flower
flower
boy.
girl, flower
Yeah.
boy, for their wedding.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
how it would be so sweet of how like that was where it was starting to blossom, because that, you know, at this point we were just friends, and like I had been talking to Glitch and we were talking about like, you know, do you want to explore this, and we are like, yeah, let's see how where this goes and everything. And so just over the season we started poking that little around, and like we're getting closer and closer and closer to friends and stuff. And then towards the end there, it was very clear that they felt something more than just friendship for each other. So
Yeah,
that's going
Man.
to be subject.
because that's not the only one they drew is either. Like,
No, there's more.
yeah,
There's others. There's a bunch
Yeah,
of shit by it.
they're like
there's a ton of art.
me and Glitch went off.
Yeah,
Oh
there you
yeah,
Yeah. I love
me
this image.
me playing video games, but Nico sitting there without the controller plugged in.
That's
Yeah.
100% accurate is the problem. Like
Yeah.
that's exactly how that would be.
Very like angry, intense, like sweaty Esprit over here, and Glitch is
This is cool,
Nico's,
Esther.
yeah, Nico's just happy to be a part of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then there's your big old hat.
Yeah,
Your big ol'
Witcheru, who
hat.
plays Sonata, the siren. They had been that's actually what this hat is. This is the same thing, because they said that they were going to find me a hat while they were in the upper city and bring it back to me, because they saw how stressed out I always was, and they're like, I want to bring this little gift back to Esper and stuff. And so they drew this for it. And I ended up picking up this model to represent it when they actually did it in character. It was such a sweet moment, and I love role playing with Witcheru, and can't wait to see if that comes around again.
Yeah. Let's see what we got next here. We have some from OSL too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Should be.
Yeah, there was quite a bit from
There's got a bit.
Yeah.
I didn't have as much art with Lilith as the others, but I got a little bit.
Because I was gonna say I know that we had some art of
yes,
this is
Flash
Flash
Gordon.
Gordon, yeah,
Yeah,
Flash Gordon,
Buddha.
probably the most fan art for ND in general has come from Flash Gordon.
Oh yeah,
I would
yeah.
probably
I have a folder that's practically literally filled with just their
Flash,
art.
stuff from
yeah,
Flash,
Flash's art.
the
Yeah.
Gremlin balls from him. Yeah.
Oh yeah. This
Sparkle?
one was Sparkle
That's
Ghost.
Sparkle.
Yeah,
They had
Sparkle did
did
a
a
bunch
whole
of-
strip of kid versions of us. There's a the version of Espring that's small. She's even smaller. She's holding a little blankie, and her hair is just an absolute mess.
It's the size of
complete
her.
gamer hair, complete gamer bed hair.
Yeah.
I remember because the Fenris one was actually the shy boy kind of in the jacket. It was really funny.
Oh yeah, the conceptual grown up Lilith.
So
I
season
do
4,
like the
right?
idea, honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hey, I maybe got some ideas. Yes.
How come you got a gross for a time skip? Canon or not, this isn't fair.
Yeah. But that's actually a good segue into. So obviously we've finished season 3 a couple months ago now. In fact, what's everyone's plans for going into season 4? I guess let's start off with
Wanna
Builder.
start first, Builder?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have much besides just trying to keep the clinic going, trying to like maybe try and get some upgrades for it so we can save people a bit better. Keep doing medic stuff, basically.
Yeah. And then obviously Capo, you're retiring Fenris.
But I am coming back.
Very good.
So I've been.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, has anyone has seen him? I do wear him a lot more. Kanchi, the slug.
If you want to show him off, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
The
Yeah,
himbo
no,
slug.
Give people a little tease of
a
what
little
character
little
to expect. Yeah.
little teaser.
Yeah. He.
So this
This
is
is a delight.
still got the sunglasses, of course, but
I
Oh
gotta
yeah.
love the sunglasses.
yeah, but yeah,
Just that smug face.
Yeah.
That smug
great.
energy is so great.
will be interesting to see how he comes into the Undercity. Like, I don't know anything about him for the most part, other than like the little bits that you've told me. But
So, it's actually really funny because in the epilogue there was actually notice of him coming, or notice of his existence. This goes
No
into
way.
Inio's character, Emily. When we were in Trident, they had Gus, I think it was Gus, do a side hack and try and find anything about other sea slugs because Nico was a sea slug from Trident. And they pulled my file, and so they found Conchi, and then they found where he was, and they found out who his owner was. So there was only a nod in that earlier on, like in the epilogue, and like 1 or 2 POVs actually have seen it.
Well, heck yeah. Looking forward to how Kachi comes in. And then OSL, what about Lilith for season 4? Obviously, potential growth spurt, or at least somewhat of a development.
You'll definitely see development with her for sure.
Mhm.
It'll be a little different, but I think people will be pleasantly surprised with it. You guys have all seen the development so far, and I would say it's gonna be very fun. Honestly, she's gonna more on the tailoring side of the business thing. She's gonna try to like open up more avenues for that. She's probably a little more in the magic scheme of things, since she's a little more emboldened with her magic and whatnot. So you might actually see her doing some shadow stuff because, you know, she's had people actually encourage her, and who knows, maybe a few other things. She's gonna be a little more proactive than there. I'm probably still gonna be busy as all hell, much like I was in season 3.
Naturally.
Episode 1 starts like, "Hey Lilith, do this." Things like, "Oh right, I had plans." Pull 20 directions as the episode goes by.
As it happens, yeah. Yep. And then, so plans for Esperine, other than coming back from this adventure that you've gone on.
Well, I mean, there's the master plan that needs to be put into place.
Obviously.
Our responsibility as Duskstarters and everything. But
True.
I think the key thing that Esper is going to be looking into, and this was hinted at the end of the season, because at one point she got attacked by these guys who were against synth rights, and they had hacked and looked into her life. And so there was this data file filled with all this kind of stuff regarding her. And they found a file on it called Little Orphan Esper. And it was encrypted. And that was the hint that there's some more information there about the history, like, because she doesn't know what happened to her parents. And so that's going to be her whole sort of motivation for season 4, is trying to figure out what happened to her parents, where they disappeared off to, why she doesn't know anything about it. Yeah, that's one of the big things that I know that I want to explore with her in season 4.
Well, that'll certainly be interesting. Before we start wrapping up here, does anyone have any last thoughts that they want to share on season 3, season 4, Neon Divide as a whole?
Too much. I just really look forward to creating stories and interactions with everyone going forward, and I really treasured all the experiences I had.
I've had a
in season 3.
marvelous time being a part of this project and stuff, and I know that we've gone through a god-awful number of bumps in the road during its existence, but the fact that we're still here, we're still going strong, and we're still making stories makes me very happy, and I just want to continue doing that and bringing more fun interactions with my friends, and meeting more people who come to it, because we have the extras who will come on and then turn into characters and everything, and it's just feels like a great family to me.
Yeah, on both the community and here on the cast side, things with ND have really changed my life. It's my first VRRP I've been a part of, so I'm really excited to keep going on. It's been great. I've met so many amazing people here.
It's such a genuinely easy to get into community. It can be a little bit difficult if you're coming in to try and understand the stories because there's so many stories. But yeah, I think that's one of the nice things is that the community is pretty easy and accepting and pretty friendly.
It's a very open community.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest things about this community that I love the most is the fact that when I first came into, I only knew one other person here really well, but everyone was just so friendly and so welcoming and willing to help walk you through things and everything. So it was great.
Yeah, I had the exact same experience. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I was actually brought on by Noodle who plays Phil, and then I've met you, Skiz. I met Orlando. I met Uzu, which Uzu completely changed the story for this boy when we were doing it. So I owe most of my RP happiness to Uzu, who is retired from I know they're not going to return season 4. Last I know, that might change. I do not know her plans. But I met Catbug through this. I met Builder through this. I met OS. I met so many people.
Yeah.
It's just always been welcoming.
Yeah. It's been a treat being a part of it. I'm looking forward to continuing that along. Dogs, I believe you wanted to shout out the Patreon and all that, and
just let everyone know that this whole project can't be made, or can't really happen without all of you. So we have a Patreon, so you guys can support us here on the Patreon. The link's right there on the screen. We also have our own merchandise store here. You can go to store.neondivide.com and check out all the cool merch. When the season gets going, season 4, we'll have a lot more stuff showing up on that store. So keep an eye out, look out for that and for the announcements. And again, we just want to thank everyone here for watching and all that. So we have someone to raid after this podcast. We are going to be raiding the Emo Healer tonight, actually. So
Emo.
The good sheriff.
Yeah. So
Emo plays Mercury from the Wasteland. Of all those who do not know, great RP as well. Great cyborg, good boy.
Excuse me, he's not a cyborg. He's a full synth.
Yeah, he's full synth.
That's an important distinction.
But he's got that human face that you just want to pinch the cheeks off of.
The moment when you hear the synth get offended in the room, that's what that was.
The synth get offended in the room. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just a poor organic.
And with that,
how dare you call me a
and with that, we want to say our farewell and goodbyes. Real quick, I'll show you guys again. Give a nice little wave back.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for stopping by. We appreciate it, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Take care.
Oh, yep, fair.
Son of a...